And just let me give you an example of when just a specific reference to you saying that I wouldn't know how to read those reports. For example, if someone put in hairstylist, Jacksonville Beach, Florida, if we Google that right now, there's going to be 3 listings that come up that Mother Google has picked out and said, these are the best answers to the question, I want to find a hairstylist at Jacksonville Beach, Florida.
Right.
Ideal goal is to get you ranked up there organically, so where you're not paying for it with the ads above those 3 things. And then also that people go to your site, land on your site, and then evaluate your brand, and then click on make an appointment. That would be things that you would understand. If I said, JoElle, here's a report, shows you how many people made an appointment last month based on this path, and it's gone up 25% since last month. You would understand that and be like, all right, now we're cooking. Right. And that should be at the fundamental level, essentially your very first goal. Because doing that and getting it to that point for this business does take time and money. And it takes a certain amount of investment. But if you do that stuff well, you should be able to easily see the return on your investment. But once you start to try to get into all these other things before that, your mind gets cluttered and you get exhausted.
Yeah.
If somebody starts saying, all right, now we got to start writing blog content and stuff like that. And I mean, that's down the road possibly for you. And it's something to understand that that's how you're going to rank better. And it's going to help how you show up in the search engine and all of that stuff. But with the right strategies from the very beginning, getting your website set up, making sure that it's coded correctly with the right keywords, making sure the presentation is consistent with your branding, it should be able to be fairly painless. And right now, there's not many companies that actually present this in a way that is simple with a direct roadmap.
Hence.
That's not necessarily what I'm trying to do anymore. I have I have a nice, wonderful group of recommended providers around town that I work with.
Oh, okay.
And so what I really do, because I was a preschool teacher for a couple of years, and I worked with guys with special needs. I enjoy, Who knew? I enjoy the coaching. This is what I enjoy. This part of it, and the big picture stuff. And so I absolutely can do the execution things and the minutia, but it's not my strength. And so the pivot of Simple Healthy Web has been to talk about the strategy and the big picture of the from the beginning, and also to be a reference point along the way and a resource if you need it.
Okay.
And so,
which is great.
Absolutely.
So what you're saying is you help guide a small business person as myself in the direction of where we should focus at certain times for the most benefit.
Absolutely.
And we use that in a vehicle of whether it's through Facebook or Instagram or a web page, and what those different people then talk together and cohesively work together for one reason?
Absolutely. I mean, from the beginning, you would want a company that provided you with a strategy and a quote and a very specific itemized explanation of what is going to happen and what results it's going to produce and how much that would cost. Okay.
So it's different from like the person who is actually in charge of my professional Facebook page.
No, that's see.
Or you would work with that person, or then you would take that person's place.
Well, to answer that question, I have what is called the Super 6, and there's 6 components of having a web presence. So like having a website is one component of that. Making sure that you claim all your different directories is another component. Social media, SEO, sending good emails. Those are all components of having a well-rounded web presence.
Okay.
So ideally, you would want somebody that in the beginning could say, this is how we're going to work towards having a web presence, and we're going to identify which ones of these we're going to try to do and what your budget is. And down the road, if you had one aspect of it, like the social media updating that you wanted to pay somebody for, it may or may not be the people in this company, but it could be.
Okay. And then, so you do work with it, though, if we already have that established. You're willing to work with those people who are already in place?
Ideally, it would be to help you and coach you if you had any problems communicating with them.
Oh, I see.
So my pivot right now for Simple Healthy Web is essentially what I'm doing right now.
Okay.
Is to educate, and I'm really focusing on these web presence journey videos, and also making Simple Healthy Web, the website, a resource that you could self-educate, and it would answer a lot of these questions way before you went to go meet with these people. And so you would go, and it would be so user-friendly that it would say, oh, this is where I am, and it would just kind of be a place where you would be empowered to then go talk to these people.
Right.
It's kind of like learning a little bit about what the home building process is before you were to build your own home, and had that first meeting with the architect or interior designer, so you weren't so in the dark and they didn't spend so much time educating you. The sad fact is that some of these marketing companies are just taking your money, and they might then have to spend some of your money to educate you, or worse, they're not educating you at all, and leaving you completely in the dark, and you're flying through your couple bags of groceries, and you don't have any money left over because you spent it all, because you just kind of threw it at them. And
so I'm hearing you say, much like when I found a business mentor, and he, when you go to his seminars and hear him talk, and he gives you advice, and he tells you, these are the steps you need to do these days to be successful, right? And so then you invest in his CDs, you invest in his philosophy or theology, right? And then you use that to catapult your business into another level. So what you're saying is you help guide us in the technology world that we're not familiar with, because
absolutely
what we're familiar with is word of mouth and quality of work.
Right.
Which now it's that in addition to this other whole internet thing.
Absolutely. But with the word of mouth thing, you need to, at a cocktail party, they've had a couple of glasses of wine, and says, you need to have JoElle do your hair.
Yeah.
The next day, hopefully she's going to remember that. She's going to look you up online. She's going to want to see these little credibility markers.
Right. That's what I'm interested in, making those credibility markers work better.
You've kind of been learning a little bit about what I do. I think it's too hard, and there's a lot of people ripping people off in this industry, and I'm kind of sick and tired of it. And I have a very simple understanding of what's necessary for small business owners, especially people with less than 5 and 10 employees, or people just starting out, of the things that are the most effective and the timeline with which to do them.
Right.
And I can convey those to you, and then we can find somebody that can help you execute those.
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we have just absolutely flown. I don't even know how long we've been talking, but it's been great, and I really appreciate you coming on the show. I hope you'll come back for an update.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. Absolutely.
No,
it's been fun.
I think that's great.
Thank you for taking the time, JoElle.
I appreciate you.
All right. Cool.
Okay.
Awesome.